right. Welcome to KTV Primetime News. It is the 22nd of July. The year is 2022, a day that we're here to inform you on what's happening in the country and beyond. A lot of stories lined up for you tonight, but first, the highlights. Three officers found guilty and one acquitted in Willie Kimani murder case. Kenyatta University hosts its 51st graduation ceremony with 4,690 students graduating. Tonight we focus on Professor Thomas Destiny Namwamba, a senior lecturer in KU, who was among the graduates today at KU. And in sports, Sadio Mane crowned Africa Footballer of the Year for the second time running at the CAF Awards. Welcome to the broadcast. You're watching KTV Primetime News, and we're here to inform you again on what's happening in the country and beyond. And this is the time. Welcome to, for the next 1 hour, we shall be giving information in the country and beyond. And to start us off, justice has finally been served to the murders of the Mavoko Three, namely lawyer Willie Kimani, his client Joseph Mwenda, and driver Josephat Moirori, who were brutally murdered in the 2016 after lawyer Willie Kimani opened a case against the murder suspects and police officers Frederick Leliman, Stephen Chiburet, Sylvia Wanjiku. Justice Jesse Lesit has today found the three and one other person guilty on all three counts of murder.
Police officers Frederick Leliman, Stephen Cherubut, Sylvia Wanjiku, and police informer Peter Ngugi have been found guilty of the murder of lawyer Willie Kimani, his client Josephat Mwenda, and driver Joseph Moirore in 2016. Officer Leonard Mwangi has been acquitted on all three counts of murder. While issuing the verdict, Justice Jesse Lesit said that the prosecution had proven the case against the four beyond reasonable doubt, hence the finding by the court that they were guilty of all three counts of murder. The three victims were abducted from their car as they left Mavoko Law Courts in 2016, where Willie had gone with Josephat Mwenda, his client. According to police, after the abduction, they were held for a few hours at the Syokimau police post before they were taken to a field where they were killed. Their bodies were later found dumped in Oldonyo Sabuk River, wrapped in black gunny bags.
Since the first accused said that he was the one who had the radio, Exhibit 36, on the morning of 24th of June 2016, when he left it charging in the office, how did it get to the house of the fourth accused? In its box, wrapped as new, complete with the protective film on the screen, and yet the fourth accused was away between the night of 22nd of June and 27th of June 2016. How did it get to the house of the fourth accused?
The prosecution told the court that they have proved beyond all reasonable doubt that all the four accused planned the brutal killings of the victims. However, the defense pleaded with the court to disregard all the evidence produced by the prosecution, saying they only relied on assumptions. Lawyer Cliff Ombeta for Leliman and Cherubut told the court that the matter had not been proved beyond all reasonable doubt, as had been said by the state.
System of radios covering Nairobi area is PW34 testified that he indicated who should receive which specific radios. In Mulolongo, he said the specific pocket phones that each officer, that is the OCS, his deputy, and his PIF team, and the CID section and Syokimau police post were to be issued with as per his register, which was Exhibit 73A.
Justice Lesit told the court that she analyzed a total of 117 exhibits and evidence given by 46 prosecution witnesses and 34 defense witnesses to reach her decision. The judge had told the court that she had written more than 6,000 pages of proceedings since the trial started in 2016.
The evidence is overwhelming that he personally attended to ensure that the deceased persons were captured, they were detained to await nightfall, they were murdered, and their bodies dumped or flung into the river to make it difficult to ever recover them.
She referred the matter to the Criminals Division presiding judge for sentencing, saying having rendered her decision, she was functus officio and would consequently proceed to continue her mandate as Court of Appeal judge. Justice Lesit added that the sentencing date will be given once a victim assessment report is finalized. After 6 years of long wait, the families of the slain can now rest after justice has been served. But Justice Lesit says the four have 14 days to appeal the ruling. Samson Jura, KUTV.
And to one of our main stories tonight is that today Kenyatta University hosted its 51st graduation ceremony. The ceremony was held at the university's graduation square with 4,690 students from different disciplines graduating with certificates, diplomas, bachelor degrees, and master's degrees, together with PhDs as well. This year's theme, led by the university's chancellor, Dr. Benson Wairegi, was repositioning research and education beyond COVID-19 pandemic.
Repositioning research and education beyond COVID-19 pandemic. That was the memo at the Kenyatta University first physical graduation ceremony in 3 years that saw 4,690 students from different disciplines graduate with certificates, diplomas, bachelor degrees, master degrees, and PhDs. The university's chancellor, Dr. Benson Wairegi, led the ceremony that had been redesigned into a virtual affair following the onset of COVID-19 virus in the country.
I am proud of what we have collectively achieved amidst COVID-19 pandemic. And I want to congratulate all the graduates, including our honorary graduate, Dr. Christina Wambui Pratt. Congratulations, all of you.
Acting Vice Chancellor Professor Washeke Wanjohi congratulated the graduates and the school staff for contributing to the success of the institution. At the same time, she took pride in the implementation of the collective bargaining agreement with the school staff.
In this regard, on matters of staff, Mr. Vice Chancellor Sir and Mr. Chancellor Sir, we have been able to fully settle the matter of the 2017-2021 National CBA, the new salary scales as well as annual increments to the cent with the effect from the end of last month. I take this opportunity to thank all the members of staff most sincerely for remaining calm and working hard despite the odds. The industrial peace that we have maintained has enabled this university to continue with its activities.
Education CS Professor George Magoha was represented by PS State Department of University Education and Research, urged scholars to secure opportunities offered at KU. Journalist Enoch Scolia made the alumni speech.
For the alumni board, the database has over time grown to a membership of over 10,000. This is a low number. We desire to grow this number to enable us make great impact in supporting our alma mater.
Speaking at the event when Miss Christina Wambui Pratt set the ball rolling, being awarded an honorary degree of Humane Letters for humanitarian efforts for the disabled, urged graduates to never stop learning and relish the experience.
Kimbochi Robert Kariuki, Doctor of Philosophy in Peace and Conflict Management.
Also of note was Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibochi, who graduated with a Doctor of Philosophy in Peace and Conflict Management, a record first for a sitting Army Chief. This is the first graduation to be held physically since the COVID-19 pandemic struck back in 2020, as the rest were held virtually. Mwaka Samuel, KUTV.
And still on university and graduation matters, Kenyatta University graduates did not shy away from showing their joy of experiencing a physical graduation ceremony since such events were disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic from the year 2020. The graduates were happy upon accomplishing major academic milestones. Our reporter Caroline Kimwele now paints the picture of the colorful event held at the Kenyatta University main campus here in Nairobi.
Joy, happiness, smiles, laughter, and all other cheerful emotions filled the environment as graduates attended the 51st KU graduation ceremony. As scheduled, the graduates started assembling at the graduation square from 7 a.m., followed by the Chancellor's procession to the same ground alongside music from the Administrative Police Band before the ceremony officials started off with the national anthem. Those attending the event got to enjoy entertainment from various gospel artists as well as comedy entertainments.
Moment of silence, sikwenye ulikuwa una skip the entire meals. A moment of silence. A moment of silence kwa zile siku yenye uliacha ukataka kuacha shule pia. Saizi umeona ilikuwa ni mchezo. A moment of silence kwa zile siku hukuona kakitu kwa M-Pesa, but finally sahi utaiona kitu M-Pesa.
Gospel artist well known as Pastor Tumaini touched the hearts of the congregants with his songs including the hit song Usizame Yesu. Different ethnic songs were also played as a sign of brotherhood and peace amongst Kenyans, particularly at a time when the general elections are around the corner. The graduates, who were the center of the whole ceremony, revealed to KUTV their joy during this colorful event held at the Kenyatta University main campus.
I just graduated with my master's in film studies, and it is a beautiful day. It has been a long-awaited day. It has been a long journey, but finally we made it.
Safari hiyo ilikuwa na changamoto nyingi sana. Lakini palipo na changamoto ndipo panapokuwa na fursa. Kwa sababu ilikuwa safari ya kila mara kutoka Tanzania kuja huku, kwa hiyo inachukua gharama kubwa. Kulikuwa na matatizo ya corona njiani, na pia kulikuwa na migomo mingi iliyokuwa inafanyika Kenyatta hapa university wakati nilipokuwa nasoma.
Nimefuzu na shahada ya uzamili ambapo nilikuwa nafanya Kiswahili, mbinu za ufundishaji. Na pata kwamba katika utafiti huu wa mbinu za ufundishaji nilikuwa naangalia, kwa sababu pata kwamba wanafunzi wa shule za upili wamekuwa wanatisika sana katika masuala ya mitihani, nami nikachikita katika kutafiti hasa mbinu ambazo zinatumiwa na walimu kufundisha.
Nimegraduate na masters in public policy na nimefurahia sana kwa siku hii.
Mwenye yangu ya baadaye nirudi huko kama nitafanya masters hadi PhD, itakuwa ni mzuri sana kwangu.
Caroline Kimwele, KUTV.
That seemed to be quite a party even before the after party that comes after graduations. And from General Kibochi to my co-host Daphne Orina, my colleague Omondi Otieno, my colleague Evan Sauma, and my immediate former colleague Stanley Nyaringita, and everyone who graduated today, a big up to you and congratulations are in order. You have been given the power to keep reading. And now, moving on to still other education matters, is that pupils in the 6th grade in the competency-based curriculum CBC will start selecting high schools they aspire to join for secondary studies from the 15th to the 30th, I beg your pardon, this year, following a decision by the National Examination Council. The Minister for Education, Professor George Magoha, has revealed that 2,300 public primary schools in the country have already been selected for the secondary program. He has encouraged private high schools owners to be prepared in accepting candidates who will not be joining the institutions. This continues even as the government is in the process to build more CBC classes. First Lady Margaret Kenyatta has pledged to keep on giving back to the less privileged in society even after her term as the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya comes to a close. This, she said, as Beyond Zero initiative marked its 10th anniversary.
Margaret Kenyatta.
Giving back to the society has been First Lady Margaret Kenyatta's agenda for the past 10 years. First Lady has therefore pledged to continue engaging in charity work through her Beyond Zero initiative beyond her term in office as the First Lady.
At one time, our country was described as one of the most dangerous places to give birth.
Further, the First Lady said she will continue being involved in the refurbishment of health centers across the country, support for children with disabilities, and ending of harmful cultural practices in her role as the patron.
It has been an extraordinary privilege to serve Kenyans.
Speaking during the event, Professor Margaret Kobia said First Lady's charity activities had given her ministry a valuable platform for attaining its mandate through promotion of equal opportunity, gender equality, equity, and diversity.
I'm pleased to inform you that gender gaps have narrowed as evidenced in the recent award we were given by African Union.
Health CS Mutahi Kagwe hailed First Lady for championing the universal health coverage, huge UHC, pillar of President Kenyatta's Big Four agenda.
You had catalyzed a movement within the country where a dying mother is of great concern to all of us.
Other speakers who attended the event were the former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta, Mrs. Ida Odinga, Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, and Maendeleo ya Wanawake Chairperson Rahab Mwikali Mwiu, were Chief of Staff in the Office of the First Lady Constant Gakonyo and National AIDS Control Council CEO Ruth Masha, among others. Imaset Stacy, KUTV.
All right, it is time for us to take a break here on KTV Primetime News. When we come back, we have an interesting conversation on reproductive health policy. It's about 22 minutes past 9. Be sure to keep staying tuned to KTV Primetime News. We'll be back in just for a bit.
Technology has infiltrated many sectors, one of them being medicine. With me is Daniel Kimani, the CEO and founder of Hospital that connects healthcare providers with the underserved in the society.
So if you look at a hospital at current state, we can say we are just starting at what we have in mind. We are building a virtual hospital for doctors. We are trying to bring that physical hospital to the doctor side, like the moment doctor enter a hospital, the moment they leave. We give you a chance to upload the report to our platform, then assign it to a doctor. We give you the capability of personalizing a doctor. I want to be getting X doctor for the rest of my services.
This and that, you study. If you're not in class, you're in the field.
Najua students tunapenda kulala. What I do when I get broke.
If the money is not enough, we find some of us when tunaingia in betting.
Kuna challenges mingi.
Now we're here 4 years later about to graduate. What do I say?
Huu ni mradi wa Lower Kuja Irrigation Scheme ambapo wanafanya upanzi wa mpunga. Utasema kwa lugha ya kawaida mchele. Lakini mchele ni wakati ushavuna.
Kuna zingine zinaenda mpaka 60 days, alafu inaanza kuzaa. Ile mpunga sasa inaweza ona mpunga yenyewe sasa. Ama zingine zinaenda mpaka 90 days ndio inaweza kuzaa.
Now, let's talk about inclusivity as it is structured to be within government.
Groups or individuals, we have the women, we have the youth, we have the persons with disability.
How is inclusion ensured in the county government processes?
Letting the majority have their way, but not ignoring the say of the minority.
So be sure to try this at home. It's a fun experience before you get to sit down and enjoy the meal.
Unemployment has hit you hard. Your salary is meager. You decide to venture into business, but you're struggling to thrive in it. You would want to reap a big tip on how not to run into losses.
Forget the preachy business vlogs, the hyperbolic motivational speeches, and all the roads down desperation.
Hope has come with model stories from small successful entrepreneurs. We tell you these tales weekly on The Budding Entrepreneur. Join us as we help you make your trade profitable and often smile to the bank.
Ukiwa na dukuduku la michezo, tunafungua sanduku la dukuduku kwa ufahamu zaidi. Kila danadana, mitimpo, mifiatuko na harakati zote ugani, sisi ni wako mwandani. Kukurukakara zote nyanjani, haziwezi kuangaziwa zaidi ya micharazo michezoni. Mimi mwanaspoti wako matata Peter Pinches Mwaora ndakuwa na jopo lenye maarifa sufufu, nikufahamishe na nikuburudishe wewe shabiki shakiki kwa uhakiki na kindakindaki.
Things you know are right. Nothing worth the gain you attain by sudden flight. Don't you know that I still care for you? Me flip-flop got me needing more and more of you. Let me the one to catch you.
Far East, welcome to the empire. Far East, because we find true love. You will see what your love has done for me.
Difficult because them ignorant and I one alone they get and I go live another life. Telling them again but I know in a device. Life no get chance too often. Put out some of the sadness and invest in a laughing. Time you take a stress, lifetime passing. Tell them so you love them for your sin.
I am an open-minded person. I like learning new skills, new ideas. I plan to work harder and push myself to become better and better every day. And I plan to take every opportunity that comes my way.
It was kind of an honor being the first girl to drive at that track.
I want to go all the way. I want hopefully to be one of the best in the world someday. But I want to take it day by day to keep learning my lessons, to keep failing and keep succeeding.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. Welcome back. You're still watching KUTV Primetime News. We're here to inform you on matters that are pertinent to everything that you need to know about the country. And today we're speaking about reproductive health policy. And now, during the public participation for East Africa Community Sexual Reproductive Health Bill that happened on 29th June, Youth Changes Kenya submitted a memorandum aimed at amplifying the voices of 55 young people from 13 counties in Kenya. In the past 2 months, Youth Changes Kenya has participated in the review process of the National Adolescent Sexual and Reproductive Health Policy, and of concern is that a few young people were engaged in the process and the consultations were held in very few countries, leaving a huge section of the population underrepresented. They are now calling on the Ministry of Health to include the input of the youth. Youth Changes Kenya, YCK, is a community-driven organization that was founded in 2015 to promote sexual reproductive health and rights and address systemic issues of sexual violence among adolescent girls and young women from rural and peri-urban areas. And now I'm joined by Josephine Cheng, who is program lead at YCK. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, tell us a bit about yourself now that you're here live. Last time we talked via Zoom. I know the COVID-19 thing was a bit scary.
So my name is Josephine. I work around sexual reproductive health of young people, and I'm also very passionate about just gender equality and ensuring that everyone has a voice and has agency to act when it comes to their rights. That's what I'm passionate about the most. And for fun, what I do for fun is jump on trampolines, which a lot of people make fun of me for, but it works for me.
All right. Welcome to our studios today.
Thank you.
And we're here to talk about the reproductive health policy. And I know your organization has a lot to say, and we need to hear what exactly you have been championing for. And last Friday, the Ministry of Health called upon stakeholders to validate this particular policy. And we saw disengagement from the civil society. And you people, you need to tell us why that happened.
The reason why that happened, there's been a lot of fracas with that particular policy because the Ministry of Health had planned to launch it last year, but the Council of Governors stopped it because not all stakeholders were engaged. So after it was stopped, there was a consultation with the Council of Governors, and then they had planned to launch it now after that again. But then when you looked at the document again, it still had gaps. So we stopped the launch for the second time last year. And then this year now at around March. So when it got to April, at around April, guys went back to Mombasa to review the document now with the Ministry of Health. But then when they came back at around June, with the document now, when we were told this was being launched, we were called for a validation meeting. How do you call people for a validation meeting to validate a document you've refused to share prior to the meeting? What are we going to validate if we've not seen the document, the final document? We kept insisting for them to share it. They said we'd share it. We waited, they didn't share it. So on the day of the launch, a document is being launched that we've not seen. We are not even sure what is in it. So as CSO, we just decided to disengage from the process because the process, when it came to the development of policies, was not meaningful, because how do you just have few representation of people and say everyone was involved? The fact that, for example, Josephine was involved, does not mean that everyone was involved, because Josephine, I'm a young woman, my needs are different. There's a young woman who's living with disability. She needs to be in that space to speak for herself, not us speaking for them all the time. So that's why we disengage from that whole process. Plus, the policy has gaps in terms of the things that it is there. It's promoting, it's pushing for abstinence, which is good. We are not saying abstinence is bad, but it's not working for everyone. Can we have policies that are driven by data, by science, by the lived realities of young people on the ground? And the Ministry of Health should not use their own biases to develop policies, because this policy is supposed to be in existence for 10 years. 10 years. So we'll have 10 years of, if you're a single person and you're having issues with your fertility and you want to get assistance, unfortunately you cannot, because the policy only covers for couples. And if you're single, you'll have to be vetted by a committee that will be set up by the CS. So we are looking at just why are they denying people so many rights when it comes to sexual reproductive health. So that's why we just disengage from the whole process.
All right.
Yeah.
You mentioned bias on the part of the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Apart from what you just mentioned when it comes to segregating the single ladies and their and what we'd call their policies
Yeah.
and their interests being shelved. What are other biases that we would find in that particular situation?
So the policy also speaks about for the intersex people, even with the advice from professionals that it's not good for them to delay corrective surgery. The policy says they'll get corrective surgery after puberty. When that happens, it's a bit riskier. So that's what the policy says. So if you're an intersex, you'll have to wait until you're like 19, 20 for you to get the corrective surgery, which is very limiting because if I were to get the surgery when I'm a bit younger, the risks are very minimal. That's another thing. The other thing is you cannot get a service until you're 21 years old. So I'm trying to imagine what happens to that. We are not living in a perfect world, clearly, but what happens, we're having children who are leading families. What happens to that 15-year-old who's leading a family, who's married and wants to get a contraceptive, and you're telling her to go get a parent? Where is she going to get a parent from? So we need to also realize the evolving capacities of young people, because we are not homogeneous, we are diverse, and we have different needs, and we are all Kenyans, and everyone needs to be captured in that policy document, but unfortunately, it's not.
All right. You talked about meaningful engagement of the young people when it comes to policy development processes in the country, which probably you're going to tell me whether it's just in the health sector or elsewhere. According to I know you're majorly focused on reproductive health, but what is this that you're calling meaningful engagement? Is it just underrepresentation, or is it more than that?
It's more than underrepresentation, because if you are, for example, you're calling me for a meeting, today is on Friday, and the meeting is tomorrow, and you are telling me about the meeting at this time. How am I supposed to engage meaningfully during that whole process? How am I supposed to do that if I'm not given enough time to prepare and to just familiarize myself with what the discussion will be around? So you need to give people the time to go through what the meeting will be about. You need to give them the choice to decide whether to participate or not, and they need to be assigned responsibilities. You cannot call me for a meeting in the evening, you're telling the meeting is tomorrow, and you expect me to show up as a young person. I'm supposed to look for fair to show up at that meeting. I will not engage. I'll just come, sign your two papers, I was there, but go. But I will not have given you anything, honestly speaking. And it's not only in the health sector, it's happening across different sectors. Because even with the election, you can see a lot of young people, there's a lot of voter apathy because people don't understand and they're not engaged as much. So that's why there's just a lot of mismatch when it comes to engagement of young people in our country.
All right. And for young people to be included in these particular programs and processes, what exactly do these particular bodies and authorities need to do to make sure that exactly these people are brought on board and they get to do what they need to do, especially in public participation, to contribute to these particular policies?
I think the first thing is that people need to realize is public participation is a constitutional right. We have the right to engage at that level. In as much as most of the time when you're talking about public participation, the meetings are posted on what are they called? Gazette most of the time, and people don't read. Young people don't read those. How about they go with the times? If there's a public participation process, how about they post it on their different social medias so that young people know, by the way, tomorrow there's this public participation process, they're discussing this is what your role is. You see, that way young people will be able to engage. But if you tell me, but then there's a public participation forum tomorrow, am I going to attend your meeting tomorrow or go hustle? No, you see, also giving people time to prepare for such things is very important. And also for the different organizations and the different bodies, it's important for you to know what meaningful engagement you look like. The fact that you have Josephine and 3 others there is not meaningful engagement. But if you have Josephine, if you have a woman living with HIV, if you have a young person, if you collect young people in all their diversity and give them time to actually share their issues, that is what we call meaningful engagement.
All right. Now let's talk about something that you people are very passionate and advocating for. You mentioned a few minutes ago that the segregation of the young mothers when it comes to their health services and the reproductive health services, the provision of the same. And I have quite alarming statistics here, where about 700 teenage girls are getting pregnant daily. And this is a research that has been done over a 2-month period. In this particular year, according to the Ministry of Health, 700 teenage girls getting pregnant. Yet, according to what you said, the Ministry of Health has a bit of bias when it comes to providing services for the same people, and the numbers are increasing daily.
Yeah.
What is being done on the ground? I know you guys are advocating, but what is the work that is being done on the ground to make sure this nightmare comes to an end?
And just to there's another alarming statistics. We were ranked third in the world when it comes to teenage pregnancy.
Oh my.
A few weeks ago, which is very disheartening because when we are looking at the data, what the ministry wants to do and what the data is saying is totally different. And I can only speak to what Youth Changes Kenya is doing and what I've seen other organizations doing. As for government, unfortunately, I cannot speak for them because when you go to meetings with them, they're telling us work is being done, we are doing this, we are doing that, but when you come to the ground, nothing is really being done. So for YSK, what we're doing is we are having interventions that promote access to sexual reproductive health services for young people. We are currently integrating teenage girls, teenage moms back to school in Kakamega and just offering the aspect of psychosocial support for them. So that is what we're doing as Youth Changes Kenya. As for government, I cannot speak for them, unfortunately.
Okay, we know who was supposed to speak for the government. Closely related to that, you were with us live from your location last year in November when we talked about the ESA commitment to comprehensive sexuality education, which is closely linked to the statistics that we have tonight. What is the progress? Has the government committed to it? Do we have progress?
Oh God. Unfortunately not. Kenya has not committed yet, but there's still time. They have until December to recommit. So we are hoping they will recommit by then. We're just trying to have discussions with the different government heads that can sign that, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, just have discussions on why the ESA commitment is important as well, and also key in the aspect of the East African SRH bill, which is also very important for young people. And if Kenya recommits to ESA and the East African SRH bill passes, then it will mismatch what the reproductive health policy says. So that means we'll have to go back and write that policy again because there'll be a mismatch between what it says and what other treaties are saying. And if the policy stays as it is, the National Adolescent Sexual Reproductive Health Policy that is under review will still have the same issues. Because even with the review of that particular policy, the meetings were called last minute. The consultation, the public participation that was supposed to take place in Nairobi, we were called to Machakos, and we were mixed with guys from Embu, guys from Kitui, and it just didn't make sense. Even the young people that were there, the few that I spoke to, they were like, as we were called, we were told there's a meeting, we go and sign. So you see, they're not even provided that opportunity to know what the meeting is actually about. So there's been a lot of, that is actually another policy that we are looking into to just make sure that it actually reflects the lived realities of young people.
All right. You mentioned a bit about what you're doing, and as Youth Changes Kenya, what are you doing in terms of making sure that especially the young ladies can get that comprehensive sexuality education from your perspective, from your abilities, in your level? What exactly are you doing on the ground to make sure that all over the country we have ladies and we have people championing for the young ladies, not just informing them, but also championing for their rights? What exactly are you doing on the ground as Youth Changes Kenya? And how exactly can one plug? Is it a closed thing, or can citizens actually plug in to help with the work that you're doing?
So we work in Nairobi, Kiambu, and Kakamega. So most of our programs are in those areas. So with Kakamega, we've trained champions. We call them champions. Since we cannot be in Kakamega all the time, it's easier to work with people that are there. So we train them on what sexual reproductive health and rights is, and then they're the ones to cascade the information to the others in the society, in the communities. The same thing with Nairobi, the same thing with Kiambu. So that is what we're doing, trainings, and then also we also offer information on social media. And it's not closed, like you cannot take part. Go to our social media handles. If you see we have a petition, sign. If you want to be engaged and to work with us directly, send us a message. Go to our social media handles, Twitter, YC_Kenya. Send us a DM and we'll see how best we can work together. And we also we have a pay bill pay bill number that you can also contribute resources to, because we've seen people showing interest, especially when it comes to returning girls back to school. So if you have something and you want to support, then feel free to just go on Twitter, our DMs, and we'll provide more details.
All right.
Yes.
So are you looking forward to like go beyond Kenya at some point?
We just want to work within Kenya first, because there are like 3 counties. So we want to cascade to other counties, and then we will see beyond working beyond Kenya. But we do have partners from other countries. We have partners in Uganda, we have partners in Kakamega, in Tanzania, and we also have a few partners in Malawi. So we are getting support from different aspects as well.
All right. Allow me to go back a bit to the bill, to the sexual reproductive health bill. And you mentioned earlier that there are gaps. Just before I let you go, it's good for us to understand what are these gaps that are in this particular bill that you would want included, and how fast do you want them included now that we have a stalemate of sorts?
With the reproductive health policy, unfortunately, it's already launched. It's out there. So the best we can do is go to court and prevent it from being implemented. But when it comes to the East African Sexual Reproductive Health Bill, it's a very progressive bill. It does cover the different issues of young people. However, it still has gaps as well. Because there's issues around comprehensive sexuality education, different governments having different definitions, people bringing their values into the whole conversation. But it's a very progressive bill. We have very progressive members that are championing for the bill. So with the bill, we are currently having a petition online to just get people to sign, to just show the MPs, the members of parliament of the East African Legislative Assembly, that this bill is important. I was in the public participation forum. We were able to present a memo that we conducted with the young people. So we do have a few recommendations. So one of the gaps we saw is people with disabilities were not really captured in the document as well. They were not speaking about issues around endometriosis, PCOS that affect women when it comes to reproductive health. There's a mismatch in terms of the language. There are times they're calling people adolescents, other times it's young people, other times we're being lumped up as youth. So those are the few gaps that I can point out. But we did present a memo to the Yala Assembly, so we're just waiting for feedback, and then we see how best can we plug in when the hearings for the bill start, probably towards the end of the year. If we'll go to Arusha and tell the MPs, please pass the bill, or we'll find other ways of just engaging with them. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine, for joining us in our studio tonight and talking about reproductive health policy and the gaps and the progress and the needs that the people have. Personally, I think reproductive health touches on everyone who exists on Earth today. And so we should be very much aware of what's happening in that particular sector. And my director says ERIAC. I don't know what ERIAC is. But,
ERIAC means I'm smart.
Amazing. So what? Oh, it's Jura actually. Samson Jura, one of my colleagues here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you is what? Now that ERIAC.
Thank you is Erokamano.
Erokamano. I think I know that. Erokamano. All right. Thank you so much, Erokamano, for joining us in this particular conversation and getting to enlighten us on this particular topic. There you have it, dear viewer, on reproductive health policy and the gaps and what we need to be doing and what we need to be championing as being led by organizations such as Youth Changes Kenya. And we've been having Josephine Acheng, who's program lead at YCK. She'll be back to join us once again. You can be sure about that, to continue talking about this very important aspect of health that affects us all. We take a short break. We'll be right back in just but a bit. Don't go anywhere.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know, while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal until 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Unemployment has hit you hard. Your salary is meager. You decide to venture into business, but you're struggling to thrive in it. You would want to reap a big tip on how not to run into losses.
Forget the preachy business vlogs, the hyperbolic motivational speeches, and all the roads down desperation.
Hope has come with model stories from small successful entrepreneurs. We tell you these tales weekly on The Budding Entrepreneur. Join us as we help you make your trade profitable and often smile to the bank.
Huu ni mradi wa Loa Kuja Irrigation Scheme ambapo wanafanya upanzi wa mpunga. Utasema kwa lugha ya kawaida mchele, lakini mchele ni wakati ushavuna.
Kuna zingine zinaenda mpaka 60 days, alafu inaanza kuzaa. Ile mpunga sasa inaweza ona mpunga yenyewe sasa. Ama zingine zinaenda mpaka 90 days ndio inaweza kuzaa.
Now, let's talk about inclusivity as it is structured to be within government.
Groups or individuals, we have the women, we have the youth, we have the persons with disability.
How is inclusion ensured in the county government processes?
Letting the majority have their way, but not ignoring the say of the minority.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. You're still watching KUTV Primetime News, and we are back in this third segment. We start with politics, where Deputy President William Ruto drummed up support for his bottom-up economic model when campaigning in Kilifi County, while his running mate Rigathi Gachagua traversed Kirinyaga County in a quest to garner more votes. The two leaders have promised that their government will transform key economic sectors in case they ascend to power.
For a second day in a row, Deputy President William Ruto continued with his coastal region tour, today camping in Kilifi County, where he popularized his bottom-up economic model, stating it will sort problems witnessed in the agriculture sector. While addressing residents at water sports grounds, Ruto added that Kenya Kwanza government has established clear plans to ensure their manifesto's agendas are achieved.
wale wanaishi kama maskota hapa pwani na tuwapatie hati miliki, ndio tuondoe kabisa shida ya uskota katika pwani hapa.
Additionally, the Kenya Kwanza flag bearer highlighted that his government will allocate a special fund to boost key economic sectors, while Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi trashed the handshake while blaming the handshake duo for Port of Mombasa woes.
Operation mpaka ikuje hapa pwani hawa vijana wa pwani waendelee na biashara yao na kazi zao vile ilikuwa pale mbeleni. Sisi watu wa Kilifi hatutaki kwenda upinzani, tunataka kuwa ndani ya serikali, na serikali iko hapa hivi leo. Mnataka kwenda upinzani? Kura yako kwa Azimio ni kura ya upinzani, kura yako kwa William Ruto ni kura ya ndani ya serikali.
On the other side, Kenya Kwanza Deputy Presidential Candidate Rigathi Gachagua popularized the coalition's agendas in Kirinyaga County, where he also promised residents that their government will boost small and medium enterprises. Gachagua was accompanied by his political affiliates who also supported their tickets.
Pia tunataka turekebishe polisi yetu ikuwe kama ile ya Amerika, ambaye polisi na raia ni marafiki. Muende nao kanisa moja, waingie hata hii chama ya table banking, hata kwa saluni wakuje watengenezwe nywele, mtembeleane, na pia tuwatengenezee magari, tuwawekee mafuta.
The pressure to woo more of the electorate piles up towards the ever-nearing polls, Kenya Kwanza Brigade has diverged with a name to increase their reach, Ruto heading down to the coast as his running mate Gachagua goes up back to the Mount Kenya region. Rose Gashanja, KUTV.
The National Police Service has announced the release of the 3 Venezuelan citizens who were arrested at the JKIA airport yesterday. The 3 were suspected to have materials associated with the IEBC equipment. Speaking to the media, police spokesman Bruno Shioso mentioned that after the investigations, it was discovered that the devices were proven to be owned by the Commission and are to be used in preparations for the general elections come August 9th. A document written by the police service indicating the arrest of the people mentioned a number of things, including equipments were not carried in an official IEBC bag, but rather a personal bag. There was no IEBC official who declared the materials, and that police did not receive any information that such equipment were expected to arrive in the country. Back to politics. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition took their campaigns to Trans Nzoia County in efforts to lure more voters to rally behind Raila Odinga's presidential bid. Raila promised to boost the agricultural sector, while his running mate Martha Karua popularized their education agenda in a vote hunt in Kiambu County.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga led the coalition's campaigns in Trans Nzoia County, accompanied by other political leaders in the coalition. While traversing various towns in the county, Raila promised that his government will improve the agricultural sector by offering seeds at a lower price. Besides, Odinga also pledged cheap fertilizers and ready market both locally and internationally for farmers.
Tutaimarisha ukulima katika taifa letu ili nchi yetu iwe iko na chakula ya kutosha kulisha watu wetu na wengine tunapeleka ngambo, sio? Kwa hivyo hapa kwa mfano wale wakulima wa mahindi watapata msaada kwa upande wa vifaa vya kilimo, kwa upande ya mbegu, kwa upande ya mbolea na kwa upande ya soko.
Tuko pamoja. Tuko pamoja. Tarehe tisa watu ya Trans Nzoia. Tarehe 9 mundu kwa kura yote kwa Raila Amolo Odinga.
On the other side, Raila's running mate Martha Karua led the coalition's vote hunt in Kiambu County to woo the electorate to support Odinga's State House bid. While at the rally, Karua also drummed up support for the coalition's education agenda that he said will ensure learners attain free education from preschool to university. Additionally, leaders present in the Azimio team that camped both in Trans Nzoia and Kiambu for the vote hunt requested residents of the two counties to rally behind the Raila Martha ticket in the forthcoming general elections. As the clock ticks and the final face-off on the 9th of August draws nearer, presidential hopefuls are intensifying their campaigns and digging in the hope to scoop a margin of votes worthy of making the pick in the succession matrix. Kevin Omondi, KUTV.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That is a quote from Lao Tzu, and today we single out a great thinker in Professor Thomas Destiny Nanyingi Namwamba, who is not only among the educators involved in preparing graduates of the 51st Kenyatta University graduation ceremony, but finds a place among them as a comrade as well, also graduating in the square in this particular academic festivity.
The journey through academia is one introspective journey that molds out the learner into a freedom of mind confined in the world of knowledge. And for Professor Thomas Destiny Namwamba, it is a course that has for a long time captured the curiosity of his open and thirsty mind in the quest to be a learner despite clinching the ranks of an educator. Currently, the sturdy Namwamba, whose face bears an infectious jovial brightness, is a senior lecturer of philosophy at the Kenyatta University, and as the institution holds its 51st graduation ceremony,
doesn't change me. I am just me. So call me the way you want, as long as we keep respect for one another. Not about business, it is not about money. It is about the internal quest, the internal urge, the internal thirst, that even if I get this degree and I don't use it, I have it.
he has a spot not only as a facilitator for some of the graduates, but he himself has a place among them as he receives his 6th degree.
From the time I came from America to the time I started again studying, I was busy writing books. I have published 10 books. Most of them are in critical thinking and problem solving and creativity. Only one is in philosophy, and the other book is on leadership and conflict management.
A journey that saw its beginning at least 3 decades ago, and one that hasn't been absent its ups and downs.
But something being difficult does not mean it is impossible. You can crack it. The fundamental statement that should always guide you and be your gadfly is, if others have done it, why can't I do it?
He has had his input in expanding the expanse of the sea of knowledge, with at least 6 books published and in rotation in different languages all over the world, apart from a set of papers that will keep churning out from this well of knowledge that remains open to learn.
You need people, you need engineers, you need medics, you need doctors, you need teachers, you need architectures, you need all these people to revolutionize the economy.
Namwamba seems to have a soft spot for critical thinking, and with a PhD from the Madrid University in Spain, he jubilantly points out the place of critical thinking in the modern world and its necessity in day-to-day interactions among people.
Critical thinking does not mean criticizing things. Critical thinking does not mean being stubborn. Critical thinking means that you have the capacity, that ingenuity of dealing with problems and addressing the problems as they come, and being honest to your thinking as you are honest to the thinking and correcting the thinking of others, as being able to unleash your mental potency as for it to be able to help re-engineer and reignite development in a society.
Despite being the scholar that he is, Professor is also a family man and is not blind to the array of hurdles facing many in edging a dexterity of balancing social, personal and academic life. He stands out as a mentor to many, some of whom he is not even aware of.
Students have come to me asking me to be their mentor. They look upon you as a drive. Academic is not about pride. Academics is about getting the knowledge that can make the world better. and sharing that knowledge with people.
While still aware of critical elements which he acknowledges but makes a resolute choice to have a firm bedrock of bettering himself and all that he gets to interact with, family, students and colleagues.
And
Emmanuel Kutosi, KUTV.
Welcome back. And in the world of sports, Senegal's Sadio Mane was crowned Africa Footballer of the Year for the second time running at the Confederation of African Football CAF Awards ceremony in the Moroccan capital Rabat. Mane scored the winning penalty, beating Egypt in a shootout in this year's Africa Cup of Nations final to lift the country's maiden title. The awards returned for the first time in 3 years after being suspended by the coronavirus pandemic, with Nigeria's Asisat Oshola also retaining the title she won in 2019. Mane beat compatriot and Chelsea goalkeeper Edouard Mendy, as well as former Liverpool teammate Mohamed Salah, whose Egypt side lost February's final.
They are all winners, and they've all made all of us so very proud. I think we should clap hands for all of them. And the winner is Sadio Mane.
Sadio Mane. I'm really honored to actually be here for the 5th time, and I'm really delighted to receive this honor this evening. I'll thank the president of the Senegalese Football Federation and Aliou Cissé, my coach. And without forgetting my colleagues at club level and also at the national team, I'd like to thank my family from Bambali and also in Dakar. I'm even emotional. I don't even have enough words to express myself. I would like to thank the Senegalese people. You know, I actually dedicate this trophy to the youth of my country.
We've come to the end of our bulletin tonight. Be sure to join the rest of our news team tomorrow and in the subsequent days in our subsequent bulletins, as well as we continue to inform you on what's happening in the country and beyond. And be sure to get to watch our informative and educative and entertaining programs as well right here on KTV. This is a whole package of a new experience that you don't want to miss. Of course, a big up to Sadio Mane for this particular recognition and award. And of course, why don't you go ahead in your own time and follow up on your good ambitions and do everything you need to do with all your might. You might not know what lies ahead. And of course, we come to the end of our bulletin tonight. Paul Wakoli is our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is MUTEGI K. Martin. Have a good one.